Welcome to Tiny Storytime YT channel. Daily updates of satisfying and completed stories. Don't forget to subscribe. The story begins. After spending 6 months on a business trip abroad, I returned home only to discover that the new colleague at my company seemed incapable of following simple instructions. When I told her to print documents, she made photocopies instead. When I asked her to book a hotel for a client, she reserved a cheap hostel. The worst came when I instructed her to take my car in for maintenance, and she somehow managed to damage my brakes. This led to a car accident that cost me my life. In my final moments, stuck inside my wrecked car, the dashcam fell loose and began replaying footage. To my horror, I saw her together with my husband. It was then that I realized she wasn't just misunderstanding me, it was all deliberate. "Lily, you never told me to book a specific hotel for the client," said Jennifer, her tone laced with mock innocence. "What's wrong with the hostel I booked? Isn't it technically still a hotel? Or do you think anyone who stays in a hostel isn't human?" The speaker was none other than Jennifer, the fresh-faced college graduate our company hired 6 months ago. She had a naive look in her eyes that some might find endearing. But her words, dripping with venom, told a very different story. I stared at her in disbelief. This scene was painfully familiar. It was exactly what had unfolded a month ago when I returned from my trip. Realization struck me like lightning. I had been reborn. The awareness sent a surge of sharp clarity through me. Clenching my fists tightly, I retorted coldly, "Are you stupid? You booked a dingy hostel for our most important client. What on earth do you have in that head of yours? Did all the knowledge you supposedly learned in college go straight to the dogs? Or are you just pretending to be innocent while making such amateur mistakes?" Jennifer's eyes filled with tears, her lips trembling. I didn't mean to. I was just trying to save the company money." "Save money? Who do you think you are to make decisions for my company?" I cut her off sharply. "If you're incapable of doing your job, pack your things and leave. I'm not running a charity for incompetents who haven't even weaned themselves yet." The rebuke left her stunned. Her usual facade of pitiful innocence faltered for a moment before returning in full force. Complete with quivering lips and teary eyes, the act drew the sympathy of the male colleagues around us, just as it had in my previous life. "Come on, Miss Taylor," one of them interjected. "She didn't mean any harm. She's just a recent graduate, still learning the ropes. She was only trying to help save costs," another chimed in. Before my rebirth, I had gone abroad for 6 months to close a major deal for the company. When I returned, I learned that my husband, who also managed the company, had hired Jennifer as a business assistant to help lighten our workload. Initially, I saw no issue with her. Sure, she made mistakes, but I thought it was normal for someone fresh out of college. I patiently taught her how to do things correctly, even if it meant doing her tasks myself in the end. The turning point came when I asked her to add a watermark to a PDF. Instead of the company name, she added her own. I finally snapped and reprimanded her. Unexpectedly, she started crying, which instantly garnered sympathy from the entire office, including my husband. He brushed it off, saying she was just a girl from a poor rural background who hadn't seen much of the world. Out of pity, I decided to tolerate her. But my patience was tested when I trusted her with a critical task: booking accommodations for a visiting client. Instead of securing a proper hotel, she reserved a rundown hostel for $10 a night. She defended herself tearfully, saying, "I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Hostels are for people too, aren't they?" I was livid and ready to fire her on the spot, but my husband intervened, reminding me of her disadvantaged background. Once again, I relented, thinking I could train her to become capable eventually. This misplaced kindness ultimately cost me my life. When my brakes failed on the highway after she supposedly arranged for my car's maintenance, I learned the horrible truth from the dashcam footage. She and my husband had conspired to kill me, tampering with my car to ensure my death. I barely crawled out of the wreckage, consumed by fury. Before I could call the police or seek help, I was struck by an oncoming truck, ending my life for good. I stared coldly at the colleagues who had spoken up for Jennifer. When I assigned the task, I specifically emphasized that this was our most important client. I clearly said to book a 5-star hotel. 5 stars. Did you not understand me? Or do you expect to pay for losing this client out of your own salaries? Few agree. Then fine. Let's move on. The moment I mentioned their salaries, those self-proclaimed defenders fell silent. They were quick to speak up on her behalf when it didn't affect them. But the mere mention of a personal loss made them retreat like timid quails. The so-called heroes suddenly lost their courage. I didn't waste my time on them anymore. Nor did I care to argue further with Jennifer, watching her cry crocodile tears. I said coldly, "Stop pretending to be pitiful. I'm not a man, and your act won't work on me. Pack your things and get out." Jennifer panicked for real this time. She dropped the pretense and begged, "Miss Taylor, you can't fire me. What will I do without this job? How will I live? And I still have student loans to repay. Please, don't fire me." I felt no sympathy. That's none of my business. Besides, didn't I help you with your education? You're just using your loans as another excuse to play the victim. Jennifer's tears flowed even harder. But I was unmoved. I instructed HR to process her dismissal immediately. However, the HR director hesitated, saying, "Miss Taylor, Jennifer was hired by Mr. Campbell. Wouldn't firing her directly cause some issues?" Before I could respond, a man walked into the office. His presence drew everyone's attention. He glanced at the gathered crowd and frowned. "Why is everyone standing here instead of working?" That man was none other than Ryan Campbell, my husband of 5 years and my partner of 10. We met in college, dated for 5 years, and then got married. I had ignored his lack of wealth and cared more about his future than he did himself. I even used my dowry and my family's connections to help him build this company. But the man I had sacrificed so much for betrayed me. He cheated on me with Jennifer, one of the students we had sponsored, and even conspired with her to kill me. This time, having been reborn, I swore to make him pay. Before I could say anything, Jennifer ran toward him, crying even harder. "Mr. Campbell, thank goodness you're here. Please help me. Miss Taylor wants to fire me." Ryan's expression darkened immediately. "What? Lily, why are you firing Jennifer? Don't you know how hard it was for her to rise out of poverty? She's just a young girl from a struggling background. How can you be so cruel?" As soon as the words left his mouth, I raised my hand and slapped him across the face. I had been itching to do this the moment I saw him, and now that I had, I felt an overwhelming sense of satisfaction. The sound of the slap silenced the entire office. Everyone was stunned, including Jennifer, who looked completely dumbfounded. Ryan was the first to react, shielding Jennifer behind him. "Lily, how could you hit me?" he snapped. "Have you lost your mind? Why did you do that?" I sneered. "Have you lost your mind? Ryan, you hired someone this incompetent, and now you're defending her? And you have the audacity to call me cruel? Why don't you ask her what a mess she's made this time?" Ryan, still trying to defend her, said, "Jennifer is just an assistant. How much damage could she possibly do?" That moment, Tom, one of our senior sales managers, couldn't hold back any longer. He stepped forward and explained, "Mr. Campbell, Miss Taylor has every right to be angry. This time, the client in question is the heir to Huacong Corporation, our most critical partner. They've been with us since our company was struggling to stay afloat. That young master is used to luxury and was furious when he saw the hostel we arranged for him. He stormed out and took his team with him. Now they're refusing to communicate with us." Ryan's face paled. He knew just how important Huacong was to our business. While not our biggest account by volume, they were instrumental in attracting other clients over the years. Losing them could jeopardize everything we built. Jennifer, sensing Ryan's growing anxiety, quickly started crying again. "Mr. Campbell, I didn't know. I really didn't know Huacong needed such a fancy hotel. I'm sorry. It's my fault for being poor and inexperienced, for not understanding the ways of the wealthy." Her pitiful demeanor seemed to soothe Ryan's anger. He reassured her, "Don't think that way. You'll learn these things as you gain experience. Just work closely with your colleagues to pick up the ropes." Jennifer nodded obediently. "Yes, Mr. Campbell, I'll do my best to learn from you and the others." Her act completely disarmed him. Turning to me, he said, "Lily, she's apologized. This was just a small misunderstanding. Can't you let it go?" I glared at him coldly. "Ryan, I've noticed something. You seem unusually protective of her. Caught off guard. His expression shifted into one of guilty irritation. What nonsense are you spouting? I'm just trying to look out for a young girl new to the workforce. She doesn't have it easy. He paused, then added, but she did make a mistake this time. Jennifer. Apologized to Miss Taylor properly. Jennifer obediently stepped forward, bowing her head slightly. I'm sorry, Miss Taylor. It was all my fault. I grew up poor and don't understand high-class expectations. Please forgive me this once. Her words sounded apologetic, but the mocking look in her eyes as she glanced at me betrayed her true feelings. Ryan, oblivious or deliberately ignorant, turned to me and said firmly, she's apologized. That should settle things. Don't be upset, Ryan said, his tone softening. The situation is what it is now. Blaming her won't solve anything. What matters is figuring out how to salvage the relationship with the client, not assigning blame. You should personally apologize to Huakong and ask for their forgiveness. Then this issue will be resolved. I let out a laugh, the kind born of sheer disbelief. Oh, really? She's the one who caused this disaster. And now you want me to go apologize? What do you take me for? Her mom or her dad? Ryan frowned slightly but kept his patience. Lily, I know you're angry, and I get it, but don't be so unreasonable. Think of the company. And let's not forget that as head of the sales department, you're responsible for assigning such an important task to a new hire. If something went wrong, it's partly your fault too. So yes, it's also on you to fix this. His words, turning the blame back on me, sent a chill through my veins. This man had a remarkable way of twisting things. After a long pause, I finally nodded. Fine, I'll go to Huakong myself. But let me remind you, the damage is done. If they don't forgive us, there's nothing I can do. Ryan seemed relieved and smiled faintly. That's all I ask. But when he caught the cold, calculating look in my eyes, he faltered. Why are you looking at me like that? Lily. I withdrew my gaze and said flatly, it's nothing. I'll head to Zhejiang now. I left the office as if heading for the airport, but instead of going to Zhejiang, I went straight to a private investigator. Fate had given me a second chance. I wouldn't let these two snakes get away with anything. But before I exacted my revenge, I needed to be fully prepared. This company, which I had built with my own hands, would not fall into their grasp. My resources, my money, my network, they would get none of it. And anything they had gained thus far, I would take it all back, leaving them with nothing. After instructing the investigator to keep a close eye on Ryan and Jennifer, I finally called Huakong. That's when I learned the full extent of Jennifer's screw-ups. Not only had she booked a hostel, but she had also spilled coffee all over Mr. Xia, the young heir to Huakong. The representative on the other end even chuckled bitterly. Miss Taylor, if your company doesn't want to work with us, just say so. But sending someone so clueless to deal with us is outright insulting. I was stunned. Jennifer was supposedly Ryan's lover. Yet she had botched things this badly? Were these two really working together? Or was Jennifer playing her own game? I quickly apologized to Huakong and managed to leverage our long-standing partnership to smooth things over. Thankfully, they were willing to forgive us, but only on the condition that Jennifer be fired. Sighing, I replied, that might be difficult. My husband seems quite attached to her. Firing her won't be easy. The Huakong representative paused, then asked, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Campbell is your husband, right? I let out a sarcastic laugh. Who else would it be? They didn't press further. We were all smart enough to read between the lines. Instead, they asked if I needed any help. Relieved, I outlined my plan. No, I don't need you to do anything drastic. Just make things a little harder for my company for now. After settling this, I returned to the office and relayed Huakong's stance to Ryan. Mr. Xie insists that Jennifer must be fired, or they'll end the partnership. Jennifer, standing off to the side, bit her lip and muttered, that's impossible. All this over a hotel mix-up? Surely they're not that petty. Or maybe, Miss Taylor, you didn't apologize to them properly, did you? Her words made my eyes narrow. A simple hotel mix-up? Was that really all that happened? Ryan hesitated. What else could there be? Jennifer's face turned pale as she stammered. Miss Taylor, if you didn't want to apologize, just say so. There's no need to frame me like this. Before she could finish, I played an audio recording I had arranged with Hua Kong. Their representative detailed Jennifer's attempts to flirt with Mr. Xia and his subsequent disgust. The recording ended with a sharp remark. Tell your company's idiot assistant to stop taking cues from CEO romance novels. It's nauseating. As the recording played, Jennifer's face turned ghostly white. She was utterly exposed. Shrugging, I said, I've done all I can. If you still want to fix this, Ryan, you can go apologize yourself. I left Ryan's office and headed to the restroom, where I opened an app on my phone. The app connected to a hidden camera I had installed in his office before leaving for Zhejiang. The feed showed Jennifer collapsing into tears the moment I left, clutching Ryan and babbling. It wasn't like that. Mr. Xie misunderstood me. But Ryan, ever insecure and paranoid, didn't look convinced. His doubt must have terrified her because she suddenly dropped a bombshell. Ryan, I'm pregnant with your child. How could I ever think of another man? Her words lit up Ryan's face with joy. All his doubts evaporated as he pulled her into an embrace, reassuring her with gentle words. The sight made my stomach turn, watching the two of them embracing each other on the surveillance feed. My eyes turned icy cold. Ryan had wanted children throughout our 5 years of marriage, but I had always delayed, citing the company's rapid growth as a priority. Now, with Jennifer claiming to be pregnant, Ryan was overjoyed, and so was she. She clung to him, coaxing, You should divorce Lily and marry me. Ryan frowned, his eyes dark with calculation. Are you stupid? If I divorce her, the company will be split in half. Be patient. Once we find the right opportunity to deal with her, we'll get married. Jennifer's face lit up with admiration. Ryan, you're so smart. I'll listen to you. I sat frozen, staring at the screen. The man I had shared a bed with for 10 years now openly plotted my demise. So, it wasn't Jennifer's idea. It was Ryan's. Very well. Let's see who wins this time. The private investigator worked quickly. Soon, I learned everything. Jennifer, the girl I had supported through school, had been involved with Ryan ever since she moved to the city for college. Armed with this evidence, I returned to the company. Ryan's solution to the Huakong debacle? To let it go. He claimed we had given Huakong enough benefits over the years, and dismissed the importance of salvaging the relationship. I feigned anger, staying home and refusing to return to work. Ryan seemed relieved, even putting Jennifer in charge of the sales department. However, Jennifer's incompetence quickly caused 2 more clients to pull out of their contracts. Ryan finally intervened, only to discover that she had unilaterally increased prices for both clients. Our contracts explicitly stated that any price adjustments required mutual agreement. Violating this gave the clients the right to terminate the agreements. Furious, Ryan stormed into her office. Are you an idiot? How could you raise prices without approval? Do you have a brain? Jennifer, unbothered by his anger, argued. I was thinking about the company's best interests. It was clear now. She wasn't misunderstanding instructions. She was simply stupid. But this time, Ryan wasn't in the mood for excuses. His face turned red with rage as he trembled, yelling at her until she cried. Meanwhile, I exchanged a knowing glance with Tom, one of our senior sales managers. Watching Ryan deal with Jennifer was deeply satisfying. He was finally reaping the consequences of his own bad decisions. But despite her mistakes, Ryan refused to fire her. Instead, he moved her out of sales and made her his assistant. I didn't object. I wanted to see if she truly only understood Ryan's instructions. Unfortunately, I gave her too much credit. On my second day back at work, Ryan erupted again. Jennifer, are you deaf? I told you to book a flight for early this morning. Who told you to book an evening flight? Jennifer, her eyes welling up with tears, stammered. I saw you were out late last night, so I thought it'd be too exhausting to leave early today. That's why I booked an evening flight. Ryan roared. I have a meeting in Shanghai this morning. A client meeting that's been scheduled for weeks. Who the hell waits for your convenience? Do you not understand human speech? Are you stupid? Jennifer's tears spilled over as she whimpered apologies. But Ryan's patience had run out. He pressed his hands to his temples, fuming silently. Tom and I exchanged amused glances, both feeling vindicated. Still, Ryan refused to fire her, instead assigning her to the reception desk. Tom, baffled by this, asked me why Ryan hadn't let her go yet. I just sneered, thinking it was time to reveal their sordid affair. That afternoon, I walked into the lobby to find Jennifer tearfully complaining to Ryan about her demotion. As I watched, they ended up in each other's arms, shamelessly clinging to one another. Without hesitation, I barged into Ryan's office, catching them red-handed. Jennifer was perched on Ryan's lap, engaged in activities that were beyond inappropriate. I screamed, drawing the attention of the entire office. Now I understand why you've tolerated her incompetence. The two of you have been sneaking around behind my back. I slapped Ryan hard across the face. You're a disgusting excuse for a man. Ryan, let's get divorced. I stormed out of the office, feigning heartbreak. As expected, Ryan refused to divorce me. He shifted all the blame onto Jennifer, claiming she had seduced him and that he never intended to marry her. You're the only one I love, he insisted. I knew the real reason he didn't want a divorce. Our company, built together, would be split in half. With me taking my share of the clients and resources, Ryan couldn't stomach that. He didn't want a divorce. He wanted to be a widower. How ironic. He wanted me dead, and I wanted him dead. After a few days of causing a scene, I pretended to forgive him. To appease me, Ryan even fired Jennifer. But I knew he was still keeping her close, secretly supporting her. She sent me messages from time to time, trying to provoke me, but I responded with screenshots of Ryan's affectionate words to me. I heard she was so upset that she had to be hospitalized for pregnancy complications. Ryan, pressured by his mother, who was desperate for a grandchild, had no choice but to accompany Jennifer to the hospital. I followed them there, bringing a team of private investigators. At the obstetrics department, I found Ryan, his mother, and Jennifer together. They tried to avoid me, but there was no escape. I stepped forward, feigning a breakdown, and questioned Ryan in a voice filled with grief and rage. Didn't you say you broke things off with this shameless mistress? Why are you still with her? Why are you both here? In the obstetrics department? Is she carrying your illegitimate child? Those few words were enough to make everyone around us realize what was happening. In a crowd filled with pregnant women, the disdain for mistresses was palpable. Whispers quickly turned into curses, and people started berating Ryan, Jennifer, and even my mother-in-law, who had accompanied them. Some bystanders recorded videos, and soon the footage went viral online. In this age of the internet, such scandals spread like wildfire. Ryan and Jennifer became public enemies, branded as a cheating scumbag and a home-wrecking mistress. Worse still, Jennifer's history surfaced. People uncovered that she was one of the students I had sponsored through college, and even more, that she had bullied others back in high school. The outrage only grew. How shameless can someone be? Taking advantage of someone's kindness and seducing her husband? She's disgusting. And bullying classmates in school? This woman should never have been helped in the first place. Let her rot in the mud where she belongs. The uproar online severely damaged the company's reputation, causing several clients to cut ties with us. Ryan was too afraid to meet with Jennifer anymore and stayed home to grovel before me. I, of course, pretended to forgive him. After all, if I didn't forgive him, how could I ensure he met his deserved fate? My supposed forgiveness convinced Ryan that I was a foolish woman who loved him too much to ever leave him. He even began to plot against me in the same way as in my previous life. One day, he casually mentioned that my car needed maintenance and offered to take it in himself. I smiled, nodding trustingly. Oh, right. Your car's due for maintenance, too. Why don't you take them both in? Ryan agreed, taking both cars to the shop. Watching him leave, I knew he had run out of patience and was planning to kill me just as he had before. The cars were serviced and returned the next day. When Ryan handed me the keys, I didn't miss the cold glint in his eyes. I pretended not to notice, got into my car, and drove away, leaving him looking puzzled. Moments later, he hurriedly got into his own car and drove off. I watched from a distance as his car careened off the elevated highway, crashing spectacularly. When the hospital called, I played the part of the devastated wife, rushing to his side in tears. Ryan survived the crash, but barely. He was now in a vegetative state, unlikely to ever wake up. It was perfect. When Jennifer heard the news, she screamed at me, accusing me of killing Ryan. I maintained my act as the heartbroken wife and slapped her hard across the face. How dare you? Ryan wouldn't have been in such a hurry if it weren't for your call. If anyone's to blame for his accident, it's you. That moment, my mother-in-law, who had fainted upon hearing about Ryan's crash, woke up. She turned to Jennifer, her face twisted in rage, and slapped her even harder. You shameless woman. You ruined my son's life. I'll kill you. Jennifer collapsed to the ground, wailing in pain. But before my mother-in-law could hit her again, she froze. Realizing Jennifer was pregnant, she frantically called for the doctors, who managed to stabilize Jennifer and save the baby. I watched the scene unfold, stunned by my mother-in-law's reaction. You knew about Ryan and her all along, didn't you? I demanded. She sneered. You refused to give Ryan a child. Why shouldn't someone else step in? So now that she's the reason Ryan's a vegetable, you're okay with that too? I asked coldly. Her face went pale. But despite her anger, she knew that the child Jennifer carried was Ryan's only heir. She wouldn't dare do anything to harm her. Jennifer, however, wasn't done. She pointed at me and screamed. It wasn't me. It was her. She's the one who caused Ryan's accident. She's the real killer. I stared at her, feigning confusion. What do you mean by that? Jennifer's panic was evident. She and Ryan had planned to kill me, but fate turned the tables. She didn't know that I had anticipated their scheme from the start. Ryan and I had identical white Mercedes-Benz cars, down to nearly identical license plates. His ended in '69, while mine ended in '96. After my rebirth, I meticulously planned to switch our cars. I made subtle changes to the interior of his car to match mine and ensured that when he picked up the cars from maintenance, he'd unknowingly take the one rigged with his own trap. Jennifer's fury boiled over. Ryan was driving your car. You're the one who killed him. My mother-in-law's eyes widened as realization dawned. She grabbed me by the arm, screaming, Was Ryan driving your car? Answer me. I looked at her calmly. Yes. She lunged at me, clawing and sobbing. I sidestepped her attack, hearing her scream about calling the police. Call them, I said, unbothered. Jennifer's face paled at the mention of the police. She immediately tried to deflect. Mrs. Campbell, let's not involve the police. What matters now is getting her out of the company and making sure she doesn't take over Ryan's assets. I smirked. How could we not report this? You accused me of killing Ryan, didn't you? Let the police investigate and find out the truth. My mother-in-law, desperate to avenge her son, insisted on calling the authorities. Jennifer's panic was palpable. Before she could stop anything, the police arrived. The investigation into the accident had already begun, and it didn't take long for them to confirm that the brakes had been tampered with. My mother-in-law turned ghostly pale, staring at me with hate-filled eyes. You vile woman. You killed my son. You monster. I'll kill you, my mother-in-law screamed, lunging at me once again. This time, the police restrained her before she could reach me. Mrs. Chun, please calm down, said a young female officer. We will get to the bottom of this. Let us handle it. The officer turned to me, her sharp gaze focused. Miss Taylor, we've discovered that the car involved in the accident is registered in your name. Can you explain why your husband was driving it? I blinked back tears, feigning grief as I recounted the story. My husband and I often drove each other's cars by mistake. I never imagined that the car, which had just been serviced, would have tampered brakes. Please, officers, you have to find the truth. The officer's expression grew serious, sensing there was more to the situation. Have there been any recent conflicts between you and your husband? I glanced coldly at Jennifer, then answered. She used to work for my company. She's also my husband's mistress. We were in the process of divorcing because of her. The police took Jennifer and the car service employees in for questioning. It didn't take long for the truth to surface. Ryan had ordered the brakes on my car to be tampered with. What none of them expected was that he would end up as the victim instead. I continued playing the role of the devastated wife. My mother-in-law was inconsolable, and Jennifer couldn't accept the outcome. Yet neither of them had a choice. Jennifer, desperate to secure her position, decided to wait until her child was born to claim part of the family assets. I smirked at her naivety. That's assuming the child survives. Of course. Jennifer paled, knowing exactly what I meant. The blows my mother-in-law had delivered earlier had already caused her pregnancy to become unstable. Sure enough, when she was 5 months along, a stray dog startled her on a desolate street, causing her to miscarry. By the time she was rushed to the hospital, it was too late to save her womb. When I received the news, I was busy restoring the company's reputation. Clients who had severed ties during Ryan's scandals were gradually returning, including Hua Kong. Within a few months, the company was not only back on track but thriving like never before. I barely spared a thought for Jennifer's misfortune. One evening, as I left work and headed to the parking lot, I encountered her. She looked haggard, her body frail and her eyes filled with venom. She screamed and lunged at me with a knife. But I was prepared. My bodyguard subdued her before she could get close. Pinned to the ground, Jennifer glared at me with unbridled hatred. Lily Taylor, you were the one who should have died. Should have been you. Why was it Ryan who ended up like this? It's all your fault. You're the one who turned him into a vegetable. I looked down at her with cold disdain. How is it my fault? Wasn't it you? Weren't you and Ryan the ones plotting against me? Did you think I didn't know? That I would let you kill me without a fight? Jennifer's eyes widened in shock. You knew? You knew about our plan. I chuckled darkly. Of course I knew. Did you really think I'd just sit back and let you two kill me? I grabbed her chin and leaned in closer. Jennifer, I should thank you. Without you, I might have had to divorce him, losing half of my assets in the process. Now, the company is all mine. Jennifer thrashed beneath the guards, screaming, You venomous B***TC. I'll call the police. You won't get away with this. I smirked. Go ahead. The internet was right. Someone like you should never have been helped. I would have been better off donating to a dog. Her face contorted in fury as she screamed. You were the one who took Ryan from me. You knew we loved each other. But you interfered. You're the real homewrecker. I released her and played an audio recording on my phone. Ryan's voice filled the air. She seduced me. I never cared about her. She's just an idiot I played around with. Did you hear that? I said mockingly. Even in bed. He was only using you. If he really loved you, why didn't he divorce me and marry you first? Jennifer broke down completely, sobbing hysterically. I called the police, but not before having my bodyguards search her thoroughly. I wasn't about to let her take me down with some hidden trick. When the police arrived, Jennifer insisted that I was responsible for Ryan's accident. Her accusations backfired as the investigation uncovered the plot she and Ryan had hatched against me. In the end, her charges compounded, and she was sentenced to a long prison term. She would never leave those walls. As for Ryan, he lay in a vegetative state for a year before passing away. I swear, I didn't do anything to him directly. I would just occasionally whisper in his ear about everything. How he wanted to kill me, how I wanted him dead too, and how everything had played out perfectly for me. Whether he could hear me or not, I didn't care. He simply couldn't hold on any longer. My mother-in-law, now a lonely widow, thought I would take care of her. Instead, I sent her to a rural nursing home far away, ensuring she wouldn't trouble me again. When she threatened to call the police, she was told that I had no legal obligation to care for her, and that placing her in a nursing home was already more than enough. Somehow, this gesture earned me praise online as a dutiful daughter-in-law. My reputation soared, and so did the company's. By the end of the year, we were preparing for an IPO in Hong Kong. What's mine is mine. No one can take it from me.